Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we're going to be checking out the EWEADN S9 gaming mouse. Let's just get this out of the way straight away. This is pretty much a shape clone of the Viper V3 Pro. It is exactly identical in terms of the shape, but it is way cheaper than a Razer Viper V3 Pro. So this is basically a budget Viper V3 Pro. The weight is very similar as well, depending on which version you get. The S9 is around 60 grams. Whereas the Viper V3 Pro comes in at 54 grams, so around a 6 gram difference there. And it also goes up to 8000 Hz polling rate. One thing it does that the Viper V3 Pro doesn't is it actually supports Bluetooth connection as well. So this is a tri-mode connectivity mouse with 2.4 GHz, Bluetooth, and wired connection. Another cool thing is, let's check out all the colorways here. You have a white one and a black one, just like the Viper V3. But you also have this very nice purple and black gradient colorway as well, which in my opinion I think looks very nice, as well as this parrot green they're calling it. And last but not least, you have their flame red, which reminds me a lot of the Viper V3 Pro's Sentinel edition. So that's another reason you might want to look at this mouse over the Viper V3 is the amount of colorways that you actually get. It's also listed on Amazon currently for $65 USD, but you can also apply a $12 coupon to that, which brings it down to $53 USD. So yeah, much cheaper than a Razer Viper V3 Pro. There's 4 different versions you can get: the S9, S9 Pro, S9 Max, and S9 Ultra, and all of them have slightly different specs depending on which you get, as you can see here, but they're all very similar. With all that being said, let's actually get this open so we can see what you get in the box. This is what the packaging looks like right here. As you can see, I have the S9 Max, which comes with the Pixar 3395 sensor, Kale white switches, and supports 8000 Hz both in wired and wireless. Each version also has a 500 mAh battery. The coating varies based on which version you get. This one here has their metallic anti-slip coating. In the box, you get a user manual, some grip tape and skates, a braided USB-C cable. This is just USB-C to USB-A, not angled, which I would have liked to see. Also a pretty hard cable, not really soft like a paracord would be. You also get this dongle here as well. This is the 8K dongle. And finally in the box we have the mouse itself. Like I said earlier, I have the parrot green version here, and it looks very nice actually. It's actually a very glossy finish here, and I can tell right away the grip on this coating is very nice. Like I mentioned earlier, this is their metallic anti-slip coating, and for someone like me who has moist hands, this is extremely grippy. Okay, so on the bottom of the mouse here, you have your switch to switch between the different connectivity modes, as well as a DPI button. And it looks like you have 3 skates here, 1 large one on the top, and then 2 smaller ones on the bottom. Let me just peel off the skates here. This is what the skates look like right here. They are black. This is supposedly premium PTFE material, which we will be testing in a second. On the bottom here, you also have a compartment for storing the dongle. So as you can see here, this comes off just like that. And this is for if you're using that 2.4 GHz, 1000 Hz dongle. You can just store it here for quick access. This is great if you're traveling. So yeah, since I have the S9 Max, I don't have the 1000 Hz dongle. I only have the 8000 Hz dongle. If you get the regular S9, the base version, you will get a 1000 Hz dongle. But for the Pro, Max, and Ultra, you get an 8000 Hz dongle, which is this right here, and you will not get a 1000 Hz dongle. As for the clicks, they feel pretty nice. They're not my favorite clicks that I've tried on a mouse, but I actually do like them more than the Razer optical switches. Again, inside of the S9 Max, these are the Kale white switches. No pre-travel on the main clicks, and very little post-travel. Very little side play as well. The side buttons here are also pretty clicky. A little bit of pre-travel, quite a noticeable amount of post-travel, especially on this back mouse button here, but not super detrimental. The scroll wheel clicks down pretty nicely, and not super defined steps. It's actually a pretty smooth scroll wheel. Obviously that's personal preference. I actually would prefer it to be a little bit more tactile, but to each their own. Build quality here is pretty solid. Honestly, I wasn't really expecting it to be bad. There's no holes in the mouse and it feels pretty solid. No concerns about build quality really. It doesn't rattle or anything when I shake it. And when I squeeze on the mouse, there's literally no flex to it whatsoever. Okay, so let's go over the shape. I'm not going to touch on this for too long because it's literally just a Viper V3 Pro. If we pull up ELO shapes here, as you can see, they are pretty much identical in terms of shape. If you want to know my thoughts on the Viper V3 Pro shape, you can go watch my Viper V3 Pro review video. I will leave that in the description below. But yeah, it even has the comfort grooves on the main clicks just like the V3 Pro. So you're pretty much getting a V3 Pro here in terms of the shape. Okay, I have the mouse plugged in now. In terms of the glide, it feels fine on my mouse pad. I'm using the Artisan Zero Soft. No scratchiness whatsoever. The stock skates seem perfectly usable. Really no complaints in terms of the glide. Alright, now let's go over the software. So they do use web-based software here, and as you can see, it is in Chinese, which I can't read. So I will be auto-translating it to English. But yeah, web-based software, really nice to see. As you know, I'm a huge fan of when companies do web-based software. Just means you don't have to download any extra bloat onto your computer. Let's click into it here. Looks like you can go and rebind all of the keys on this first page. Very typical stuff. Second tab here is going to be your DPI settings. One thing that's pretty cool is you can set colors for each DPI, and it actually shows up on your mouse. So as you can see, if I go to green, this LED on the mouse lights up green, blue, pink, depending on what DPI you're on. I would have actually liked to see this on the dongle as well. But yeah, I'm just going to put this on 800 DPI, and then you can get rid of other stages if you don't use them, which is nice. You can also change the color of the RGB here. And then on the left here, you can do polling rate. I'm just going to set it to 2000. That's what I do for all of my mice. Cool. Looks okay. So it looks like the dongle actually shows you what polling rate you're on. So you can see here on 4000 hertz polling, it is pink. And then 8000, it's like a white. 2000, it's yellow. 1000, it's this teal color. Seems like the dongle here shows your polling rate, which is pretty interesting. I don't actually see a way to change that. It would be nice if you could set the dongle to show either battery life, polling rate, or DPI. Like you could choose which one you wanted to show. And then you have your liftoff distance here. You can choose between 1 or 2 millimeters. Third tab here is macro recording. Nice to see that they have macro support. And then the final tab here, you can see your battery life. You can also change the sleep settings here. Debounce, which I'm going to put to 0. And then you can do, I believe this is angle snapping. And then you have ripple control, which I'm going to turn off. Motion sync, I'm going to leave on. And then there's 3 different modes you can choose from. There's game, high speed, and normal. I'm just going to put that to game, I guess. Oh, there is English here. Hold on. All right, so scratch what I said earlier. You can change the language of the software. This firmware tab is blank currently. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but there's nothing on this firmware tab. And then this equipment tab is, I guess, useless. Just shows you your model. And yeah, really not much else to see in here. Okay, cool. Alright guys, so overall my final thoughts on the EWEADN S9 is that it is a fantastic budget option if you're looking for the Viper V3 Pro shape, but you don't have the type of money to spend on the Viper V3 Pro. Then the EWEADN S9 is a solid budget option that you can look at. In terms of the performance here in game, I had no issues aiming with it. The sensor performance, tracking, and the clicks as well felt really snappy. So yeah, performance wise, this mouse is on par with some of the top mice. The main thing that you want to think about is going to be the shape. The reason why I no longer personally use the Viper V3 shape is because it is a really large shape, and I found that for my hand size, which is 19 by 10 centimeters, I use claw grip. I found that the Viper V3 Pro shape was just too large for my hands, and I found that I wasn't aiming my best on it, and it also just made my hand cramp after a while. But if your hands are big enough to use the shape, then obviously it is a fantastic choice. If you're somebody with smaller sized hands, I would look into other shapes. But if you already know that you like the Viper V3 Pro shape and you're just looking for a budget alternative, then the S9 is definitely worth looking into. I would highly recommend going for the S9 Max, which is the one I reviewed in this video. It has the lowest weight out of all of the different variants, and the metallic anti-slip coating is really nice if you have moist hands as well. So yeah guys, if you are on a budget and you don't mind that extra 5 to 6 grams of extra weight, then the S9 is definitely worth looking into. Honestly, the extra amount of weight is very negligible and most people won't notice it at all. But if you are super sensitive to weight and you want the lightest experience, then obviously the Viper V3 Pro is slightly lighter than the S9. But yeah guys, I was honestly pleasantly surprised by the S9. The fact that they were able to come out with such a high performing mouse at such a low price point is really quite impressive. If you guys are interested in checking out the EWEADN S9, I will leave my affiliate link in the description below, which does help support the channel out. But that's pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one. Peace.